Good morning, my friends. This is the Grim Flayer, and I hope you're doing very well today. Welcome to another Modern Donation League. This one is with Abzan Squirrelblade. We've played Poxblade. We've played Gooseblade. What other blades can we play? What else can we do? What other creatures or spells can we append to the suffix blade? Is blade even a suffix? All of these questions and more, I do not have the answer to, but we are doing the Squirrelblade thing today, and the squirrel in question is Toski, or Toski, Bearer of Secrets. Hey, I'm going to mispronounce this the entire league, get ready for that, but Toski is an indestructible, can't be countered, attacks each combat if able, 1/1 for 4. Not very good, also legendary, until you read the final line of text whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, draw a card, and now all of this makes sense. Very sticky, easy to resolve, difficult to remove, and anytime any creature, including Toski itself, will connect, you're drawing a card, so this is a big engine in a mid-range shell, just like the one we have here. So this we'll do a thorough deck tech on, but first a word on the donor. This comes to us from Alex, aka Jag. Jag is in the medicine field and the medical field, I should say, and got his start in Magic during Zendikar block. Did a lot of playing as a kid, kept going into adulthood, and was drawn into Modern with the advent of Jeskai Nahiri Control, which I agree is a pretty cool deck. After doing a little Jeskai, he started playing some Spirits, and then he found the Grimflayer MTG YouTube channel, watched a single video, this is a direct quote, and instantly bought into BGX on paper and on MTGO. Hey, it happens all the time, but Jag loves the mix of aggressive potential card advantage and removal and discard it all allows for. To him, BGX is the perfect deck, I completely agree. We looked at a couple different shells for Abzan. Jag is known as the lone Abzaner, so I knew it would be an Abzan shell. Jag even thought about Abzan Company, a typical Abzan Stoneblade build, or maybe even a old-fashioned mid-range deck with Siege Rhino, but in the end, we settled on this one, and I am happy that we did, because I've never done it before, and it's arguably the most powerful way to play Abzan anyway. So, let's do a deck tech. There were a couple changes that I suggested that Jag agreed with. We'll talk about those as they come up, but this is, 98% his list, so thank you for your support, my friend. Thanks for submitting a cool list. And, what we're looking at here, we got 24 lands, very dedicated to making the colors work, right? We don't have any colorless lands or even monocolored utility lands. It is all very flush with the colors that we need. And we do need them, double white for Apparition, double black for Liliana, if nothing else, plus a 3-color deck in general. So to that end, we have 3 fast lands, 2 Blooming Marsh, and a Courtyard. We have 8 fetch lands, Catacombs, Heath, and Flats. And we have 5 shocklands, 2 each of Shrine and Tomb, 1 single Temple Garden. We also have Indatha Triome as a tricycle land that, it's either the Tri-land or it cycles, you get it. We have 1 each of Nurturing Peatland and Silent Clearing for a little flood insurance, and as a 24-land list, we could use some. And we are also playing some Euro basics. We have I think this is the UK Forest as a one-of. Is this the Russian Plains? Either way, I picked the ones that looked the most visually Abzan, but I don't necessarily remember what they depict. I think this is a 2 of Russian Plains, and is this a swamp from France? Somebody will correct me on this, but anyway, some beautiful Eurolands. And in the spell category, we have 3 push, Path to Exile, basically filling the role of the 4th push with different upsides and downsides. 4 Inquisition, 2 Thoughtseize, not much unexpected there for Abzan. We also have 4 Tarmogoyf. We definitely, a big appeal to playing green beyond Toski is the fact that we can still go turn 1 discard, turn 2 Goyf, and race players in a way that a Dead Guy Ale or Orzhov Poxblade deck really cannot. We have 3 Stoneforge Mystic, not the full 4, a slightly smaller Stoneforge package with 1 Batterskull, 1 Fire and Ice, so only 2 pieces of equipment, and I like that just fine in Abzan, right? Especially in this Toski shell, but in general, I think that's justifiable too. We also, by the way, still doing the old border thing, but we're also playing some of the new promo versions of Mystic, Full Art, Batterskull, Fire and Ice, etc. Thought it was a cool opportunity to do that, and I thought it looked kind of cool cool alongside the promo Toski. But back to the meat of the deck, we have 2 Trophy and 2 Decay, a nice split there. And we have a full 4 copies of Lingering Souls, which is synergistic in general in Abzan, and with Stoneblade, and with Liliana, and with our Collective Brutalities in the side, but especially with Toski. So Lingering Souls really a core component of this particular shell, no doubt about it. And we have a full 4 Skyclave Apparition, which is just a very powerful card, right? 3 Liliana of the Veil, and we also already mentioned the 2 Toski and the 2 pieces of equipment. So in the sideboard, we have... This is where the changes were made to Jag's original submission. The Collective Brutalities were originally not there, and I had to make the boring but probably necessary suggestion to play them, because they synergize so well with Souls, and in general I think they're well needed and well suited to this deck. You know, we definitely need that edge against red deck wins. They can come in a lot of other matchups too. It's a boring card in some ways. It's cool to resolve, but it's boring to feel maybe priced into playing it. But I think we are priced into playing it here. Jag agreed, especially because these Brutalities replaced 2 cards that I love, but 2 cards that are much higher curve and less efficient against the decks where we really might need the help. Kalidas and Gideon Ally of Zendikar. Love both of those guys, but we've got Brutalities in there instead. And we also originally had 2 Blight Beetle. And I just floated the suggestion that maybe we could diversify with a Deicide and a Blight Beetle. I don't have a strong opinion on which one is better. Maybe it's good to have Deicide that can come in more matchups. Maybe it's good to have both, of course, for Heliod, which is really why they're there. I, again, don't have a strong opinion, but Jag said, sure, let's do the split. So, 2 Brutality, 1 Blight Beetle, 1 Deicide we've already covered. We also have some very familiar faces: 2 Plagueman, 3 Fulminator, 2 Ashiok, and 3 Nihil Spellbomb. Some high numbers of some very core cards. And then, one of my favorite cards of all time, even though it's for no rational reason. I've never really played him. I've probably lost to him more than I've won because of him over the course of all my dabbling in Modern. And, I mean, I don't know why I love Gaddock Teeg, but I just do. He's just a very charming Kithkin advisor, what can I say? So, playing a 1 of Teeg, I don't exactly know how good in the meta he is, and I don't exactly know how perfect of a fit he is in Abzan. Definitely a better fit or a more necessary card in like a toolbox creature deck, a Court of Calling style deck, but hey, we're playing the Teeg and nobody is happier than me. I would never ever counter signal that. We'll see if we find any good use cases for him. I sure hope he's good enough to go on the thumbnail here. Nothing would make me happier. So anyway, my friends, that is our Abzan Squirrelblade list. Thank you once again to Jag. Thank you to all Patreon supporters, and thank you for watching. Let's play some games. Alright, OP on that T1 Arbor Elf. So, we expect Ponza, we expect Gruul. It's actually tough, though, because in one sense we want to go get a basic swamp for Blood Moon, but in the other sense we actually need that white for Skyclave Apparition if they don't have Blood Moon. And it's definitely a really interesting spot in that regard. If we just had a push for Arbor Elf, that would be a different story. We have every other card in our hand will be castable off basic swamp, besides Apparition. So even though Apparition is good, I am going to simply not let myself get cheesed by the moon if I can at all help it. And there is indeed a Blood Moon. There's also a Pillage, which is annoying. There's also a Seasoned Pyromancer, which is annoying. This is like the perfect hand on the play. We're damned if we do, damned if we don't. If we take either one but the Spyro becomes incredibly good. If we... Yeah, so we kind of have to take either Pillage or Blood Moon. I think we take Pillage. They'll probably cast Moon unless they draw something better. And then we get to Inquisition away the Spyro next turn. That's like the upside. I really just want to, kind of tunnel vision on Decaying the Elf, but we're going to have to draw a forest to do that. But we'll at least have their gas taken out of hand this way. And maybe they won't cast Blood Moon because we didn't take it. No, they still will. Got it. That makes sense. We draw Toski. Inquisition before we decide what land to play. I have another Arbor Elf, sure. We'll play Plains. They might pillage a swamp anyway, even if they draw that, which we obviously hope they don't. So opponent in total top deck mode, only a couple dorks on the field. Our Lingering Souls are better than their dorks at that type of thing. And we will see exactly how well we can top deck relative to them. If we draw a bunch of lands that are non-basics, we'll be a little bit punished for leaving the moon. Okay, that's a start to getting punished. Hate to see it. But again, theirs was just the perfect hand on the play rather. So now we need to fade a bomb off the top, and we have. We need to fade it probably for a while, or we need to draw a forest this turn for Toski, which would be epic. That's another Souls, okay. I mean, we'll take it, right? Begin to make some tokens, which still shouldn't be enough for them to win the race, but it all really comes down to top decks. I hate to state the obvious, but that's where we're at. I'm not going to block. They seem to have a second main phase play from not attacking, but who knows? Oof. Oof. We're just drawing all the lands. All the non-basic lands. Punished for leaving the moon and for taking the pillage instead, basically. But maybe Lingering Souls will solo OP. I guess it also makes sense that they wouldn't attack with Arbor Elves just in case they draw, I guess, a 6-drop. Definitely a 5-drop. Definitely they should leave one back. And maybe because we could draw Fatal Push, it makes sense to leave the other back. Alright, they draw Pillage, they hit our swamp. And they're all in on the race. Exactly, leaving, well, they looked like they were going to leave one back like I called. We're not taking any blocks, obviously. We're going to try to kill them in 2 turns, even through a piece of spot removal. We better be able to, because that's all we're doing. Lingering Souls OP, question mark? Yes, Lingering Souls OP. We'll take it, guys. We'll take it, right? Okay. Against Ponza. I'm just supposed to play Deicide. We can hit Klothys, who's very good against us, and exile all of them. And we can hit Utopia Sprawl with this card, although that's a little slow on the draw. Gaddock Teeg. Kind of funny. Shutting off Chandra, among other things. Still probably just not good enough. Green and white specifically can be tough against a Blood Moon deck with our deck, and also it's just a 2-2 against a red deck jam-packed with value and removal and you name it. So, yeah. They saw 2 pillages. They're probably on at least 2. They're going to be in post-side against our 3-color deck. This is actually kind of a tough matchup, right? Because we are a 3-color deck and none of the colors are red. You hate to see that, but Blight Beetle's kind of funny pro-green. Obviously not going to play it, though. The only card I definitely see is Deicide. I think we have to play like 1 Brutality to try to beat a Pillage, too. I'm okay with conservative sideboarding against Ponza in general, though. With BGX, I think this will be no exception. So we probably want to look to cut things that are a little bit too extreme in their color demand, so even though Skyclave Apparition is fine, it's a little slow on the draw, probably, and costs double white, which is the toughest one to make. So I think I'm going to trim 1 of those, and then we just got to make 1 more cut. Should probably leave Toski's in. Even though Souls won us that game, I think cutting one is fine. Alright, it's a 3-lander, and it has double Goyf. We can also fetch against Blood Moon. So I do believe we're supposed to keep it. We can also push a turn 1 Arbor Elf. Although then there will be a tension between what land to get if we have to push T1. Unless we draw another land that helps us in those regards off the top. In any case, we're not going to get turn 2 mooned against Arbor Elf. So we're going to keep it. And if they play turn 1 Utopia Sprawl, we'll just play our fetch land and get green and hope that Goyf can pull our weight here. Opponent mulling down to 5. That's pretty nice. You do love to see that. That's the type of thing that we could really use to our advantage, of course. They go for a relic. Alright, fascinating. That makes me want to simply get this tapped Triome down. That accomplishes a few things. Number 1, it resolves our tap land. Number 2, it doesn't give them a free relic activation. Like if we were to fetch our Catacombs on the end step, for instance. Okay, opponent just fetching main phase of tap land. That's interesting. Anyway, we have drawn Thoughtseize, which is cool. I definitely like that. I think we have to use it. There's actually some scope to not using it and just holding up Abrupt Decay against Blood Moon specifically, but they mulled this deep. Let's Thoughtseize. Klothys, Pillage, Glorybringer. Pretty easy take of Klothys. I definitely hate that Pillage, but taking Klothys is a good way to just not lose the game, and that's kind of what we have to do. I was hoping opponent would crack Relic, looking for another land, but they don't. They're being very disciplined with their Relic. Alright, let's be equally disciplined with our fetch land, I guess. Like, just try to resolve the Liliana here. Yeah, I think we should, and we might as well then get green off of Verdant Catacombs, because we're more likely to draw a swamp. We can also cast Goyfs and Toski with a single forest. And because we have Triome and Clearing, we can cast Liliana off of those. Pretty feel-good moment here, and I'm probably just supposed to pitch Fatal Push. Alright, Glorybringer is going to go down out of their hand, and then they're going to crack Relic. That's what we expect. Okay, there's part 1. They're still not cracking Relic? Or will they on the end step? Yeah, okay. I was going to say, surely now you have to. You missed the land drop once. You can't have that happen again, if Relic can help. But it happens again. Good news, my friends, for us. That is for certain, and they're just going to concede. Nice free win against a tough matchup. We definitely got pretty lucky, but our deck certainly had the tools to compete. Lingering Souls in the face of some extreme Ponza, not some extreme Ponza stuff, but some unplanned Ponza stuff in Game 1. And then here in Game 2, they mulligan, and our deck specifically preys on decks when they mulligan. We also had a wide variety of angles with which to approach. We had the push if we needed it. We had the Liliana curve to punish their stumbling as a result of the mulligan. And if they hadn't opened on Relic, and or if they had been more aggressive with the Relic, we could have rebuilt the graveyards earlier and then gone on a Tarmogoyf plan. Also very tough for them to answer. Alright, I love seeing Thoughtseize in the opener, but I don't love seeing 6 lands. I guess we mulligan. That sucks. Now it's a 2-lander with 3 discard spells. It is a definite keep. And sadly, I suppose we are supposed to bottom Toski here without any supporting cast or the 3rd and 4th land. I think I'd rather go on the full control plan to kick this blind game 1 off and keep Skyclave Apparition in the hopes that we can utilize it really well. So, given Apparition, I think we need to fetch for Godless Shrine on turn 1 to make sure we can have double white on curve at the highest rate. And the way that really punishes us is against Burn or Prowess, because we have 2 Thoughtseizes as well, plus, like, no beef, right? So that'd be pretty rough if we're against that deck with this keep, but we are bottoming the Squirrel. And we are going to shock on T1. And I guess that means we should leave Windswept Heath up, because with that we can get basic plains or basic forest that we're missing. Should we draw like another land, a shock land, a Blooming Marsh, a courtyard, something. Alright. Let's hope it's a deck that just cannot survive all of this discard at all. And they did mull to 6 right along with us. It's Jeskai, so Helix, Snapcaster, Mage, Jace. Alright, well, our discard's going to be really good. Our life total is not completely free, but it's more free than it would be against a lot of decks, I guess. But we're going to take the snap to guarantee that we're getting a 2-for-1 out of their hand. Next turn, we're very happy to Thoughtseize away Helix and Jace, I suppose. Definitely Jace. We could consider saving Thoughtseize for a different target, or later time, I guess, but we've drawn another 3-drop, so we're probably supposed to just use all of our spells now so we can curve out, hopefully drawing an untapped 3rd land next time. So, yeah, they've drawn Lightning Bolt, so the burn plan is very live for them. But yeah, we kind of got to do this right now. And the lack of a second white source is not as bad. We're down to 10, kind of funny, from our own stuff. If they draw a 2-drop, technically we could get punished for taking Helix, right? Like Omen of the Sea or something, but yeah, it's not a consideration, really. So yeah, I mean, we're down to 10 against what's kind of a counter-burn deck. It does a lot more than that, but that is a big win condition. So this is the only control deck where I'm worried about our life total being like this, right? But come on, untap 3rd land. Nope. Nope. So that's big. That's very bad, actually. Trophy is not the most thrilling, since we've already answered it. Jace in this deck probably won't have many other trophy targets, and obviously we just need to get these souls down ASAP before they can draw Force of Negation, which will exile it. Alright, they're going to hit our Greenland. Yep. Yeah, we need to go get Forest. Gotta be able to, like, play a Tarmogoyf if we draw it or something, or cast this trophy if we need to. That makes sense from the opponent. Also thins out our deck of lands, which we obviously need. We draw Inquisition. I'll cast it. They can bolt in response, but we get it out of their hand this way. And again, we just kind of have to use our stuff, I think. So ultimately, we could have saved it. I would rather them not be able to hang on to the bolt to, like, double bolts a Lily in, like, a few turns if we draw that. Oh my god, but we just can't take advantage of it, or, as I was about to say, perhaps more importantly, kill our Skyclave Apparition, but none of this matters if we just spend 5 turns missing the 3rd land. Guess they still have an island in hand, right? Oh my god, I'm about to scoop, but I probably shouldn't, because they could flood just like we're screwed, right? Really frustrating, though. There's that island. Okay. And there's another uncastable. Yep, just Abzan things. Not that this is particular to Abzan. It's not like our curve is completely lopsided or anything. We're just getting quite unlucky. Just mid-range things, right? But OP's doing just control things with a million land drops they don't need. Oh my god, we draw Batterskull. Hey, next turn we can at least discard a Souls to hand size, and then we can maybe cast a spell. Alright, OP needs to draw, like, all the lands in their deck, I think, for us to get there. What are they in their well on their way to doing it? We draw Toski. Wow. Thrilling stuff. Yeah, I would rather discard Souls to hand size than trophy one of their lands. We don't want to thin their deck of lands. That is for sure. Look at that. We've got the synergy online. We have done nothing since turn 2. So 7 turns of pass of draw go just to put a Lingering Souls in the bin. And we don't draw the land again. I'm laughing. It's funny. It's very funny. Can't you tell because I'm laughing? Alright, so it's actually unclear if we should even bin the other souls just because, like, the front half is actually really useful. I'm going to assume we're going to draw a third land next time, right? So I'm going to pitch the Batterskull. I'm calling the third land off the top on turn 11. It's going to happen. And that way we can either go for a Lily and then pitch Souls to that if we want, or we can just try to cast the front half of Souls to beat counter magic. But of course, never rewarded, always punished. This is a 24 land deck, let me remind you. My leagues have been this way lately. Like, I go through phases where, like, you know, you get bad variants, you get moments where the OP has the perfect top deck. You have to take some more mulligans than average. But there are long streaks where nothing like this happens, and then there are some streaks where this happens every match, almost. Or, like, 3 times a league or so. We still, on turn 12, don't have the third land. But we're hanging in there. Opponent just needs to draw, like, a burn spell and a Snapcaster Mage or something for us to be pretty dead. Alright. Okay, there's a Helix. I think I'm going to bin a Lily. I think that gives the least info away, and the decays and trophies could, in theory, help us stay alive. And they're actually castable, unlike everything else. Hey, our spirits get verdicted. You hate to see that. Alright, can we draw a third land yet? We can, but it's Nurturing Peatland, which leaves us dead to another burn spell, and also does not let us cast Skyclave Apparition still, but we have to do it. Okay, here's a Helix in response, and that was the most awful experience of my last half hour of my last day, because I've had worse experiences lately with MTGO and variants. But there's always the post-side games, am I right? So Collective Brutality seems good, and Nihil Spellbomb seems good too. I don't know if we need all 3. You could play the Fulminator Mage game as well. So I'm going to put, like, the third Spellbomb and the Fulminators off here. Let's put them there, actually. Gaddock Teeg's okay against control, but against specifically bolts and Helix as the interaction, I don't know if we really need that. Also, Ashiok good against control, less good against the Jeskai version. That is my thinking anyway, but let's figure out what we can cut. We're going to begin with the pushes and the paths, obviously. And that's like a clean 60 right there. I think Skyclave Apparition, though, is pretty bad here. I'm going to cut at least 2. So I think maybe we should consider this. Maybe we should, like, cut 3 Apparition. Everything else seems pretty good. Maybe we don't need Abrupt Decay either. I was going to say cut 3 Apparition and then play either these 3 cards or the 3 Fulminator. But if we cut all 4 Apparition and sideboard really heavily, I think that's actually a really reasonable plan. The thing is, we don't have, like, we go from 6 outs to 6 efficient outs to low curve things to 0 when we cut both decays and all 4 apparitions. We still have trophies to hit certain things. We know they play Jace. I don't know if this deck's on Teferi. Hopefully we can just kind of screw them or outvalue them. If so, part of me does want to leave a decay or 2 or an apparition or 2 respectively in. But on the back of that, I think maybe just sideboarding heavily makes a lot of sense too, based on what we've seen, and also because I feel the need for a palette cleanser after our main deck totally failed to function. So, let's go for that. It's a 2-lander. The 2 lands together don't cast anything in our hand except for Nihil Spellbomb. So if we draw like a green land off the top, our hand's actually pretty good. It still can't cast Fulminator or Ashiok if it's a forest, but it can cast everything else if we draw a green land. But do we want to put ourselves in that position where we just have to draw the green land? I don't like to mulligan in this matchup. Tarmogoyf's very good too. I think I'm supposed to keep this. Like, we are due to get lucky with the lands after getting so unlucky with the lands last time, right? And we do see another draw with Nihil Spellbomb if we have to. If we don't draw a land, the first thing I'm going to do is crack Nihil Spellbomb on turn 2. A lot of our 6s will be better than this, but if we draw the land on curve, this is actually a great 7. Like, if it's Overgrown Tomb or Blooming Marsh or a fetch land. Or even Indatha Triome would be acceptable, right? OP took a mulligan as well. That makes me kind of wish I mulliganed to a more balanced 6, one that without as much of a fail rate, but we'll see how it goes. Come on, land. We draw another Goyf. Okay. Alright, please, please, please hit another land. Okay, it's a swamp. Okay, we'll take it. Yeah, this means we can at least play Fulminator and Ashiok, right? And Lingering Souls. The Goyfs will come later, I guess, which is probably okay. Alright, they play a fetch land, they say go. We draw Thoughtseize. Oh man, if only we had that last turn. I think I'm going to try to stick an Ashiok here. I think that's the highest upside play, and then just probably not activate. One activation, I guess, relatively free. Might just get countered anyway. It does. Alright. Feels bad, man. Feels bad. We gotta try to stick a Fulminator next. Hopefully we draw another black land untapped. Then we can lead on Thoughtseize. Oh, Stoneforge Mystic. Fulminator is getting past its sell-by date, though, so I'm still gonna go for that. It'll feel bad if they... Yeah, okay. Let's hit the Triome. I want to keep them off of 4. That's the big idea here. Next turn, if we give ourselves another chance to have the most tactical flexibility by drawing another land. We're definitely leading on Thoughtseize next turn, though. But if we draw an untapped green land, we can play that to beat a Mono-Leak off the top, lead on Thoughtseize, and then follow up with either Souls or Mystic, whatever makes the most sense. OP can exile that Fulminator, don't want any kind of loops going on, and they don't have a third land, so our Fulminator play is rewarded. We draw Nihil Spellbomb. Alright. Still Thoughtseizing you, probably just going to stick a Stoneforge Mystic. They have Bolt, Double Purge, Double Path. Well, the Paths are awful, the Purges are awful too, so very easy. Take the Bolt, stick a Stoneforge, go get Batterskull, force them to find another kill spell for her, or indeed to path her. They're going to path her right away before we even fetch, which is great for us. It does now give us the justification to go get Sword of Fire and Ice. We don't need to get Batterskull, and I think that's probably what I'm supposed to do here. All right, beautiful. They hit the third land. Okay. We hit a Liliana. So we can tick up to basically 2 for 1 them. They're going to purge her. And she's going to get a spell out of their hand. I think that's pretty good. We can also deploy Nihil Spellbomb. We can also pitch Lingering Souls. The only major problem with that is then they get to clean up the back half of Souls with Soul Guide Lantern, but then they're not drawing a card with it, which is why Nihil Spellbomb is far better overall. So I think that is going to be the play. I like trading Liliana for 2 removal spells here. Once again, they're just going to take their action first. I mean, that one was obvious. But this, again, just gives us more time to make, or more info with which to make the correct decision, right? But in that case, it was always obvious. Ooh, OP gonna cantrip in response. They really want to keep these removal spells, which makes me think that my play was correct there. Although, of course, we did have a couple different options. Alright, so they still have a path in hand, plus 2 unknowns once they take their turn. We do have a 5th basic to fetch off of a path. Hopefully they didn't just top deck exactly Jace plus a missing 4th land. But obviously that's what they did. You couldn't make it up. You couldn't make it up. That's real obnoxious. But again, that's how it goes. That's how it goes, right? Blooming Marsh. Okay, so we need to pressure Jace as hard as possible here. With a Lingering Souls flashback. And a Goyf. And a land tapped. We've got Spellbomb in case they have Snapcaster Mage. We'd, of course, prefer to get the draw off it, but we'll definitely do everything we can to protect our board and thereby kill the Jace, especially because we have Sword of Fire and Ice to make even the weenies really good. But OP will use Jace to bounce 1 spirit, they'll bolt another one, and then they're going to path our Tarmogoyf. That's pretty darn good. We have Toski, Bearer of Secrets, huh? So let's force out the path here, right? Alright, so then we just play another Goyf and, I guess, hardcast Sword of Fire and Ice. I think that's better here because then next turn, if Goyf connects, which it won't, if they, because they'll, oh my god, they have another path? Yeah, we're out of basics. So, literal just all removal all the time. I've had like 5 removal spells straight off the top in the mix with a 4th land and Jace at the perfect time. Got it. Got it. Sometimes you just are not meant to win. There is a world in which we still get there, but now we have to break their top decks and the Jace brainstorms, and it's just not very likely. They're also going to be able to field and path us out of the game because we've drawn too many basics naturally against the control deck. Marsh Flats, huh? Well, that's not very good. But unless they have yet another path to exile, maybe we'll be doing a little something by equipping here. So anyway, I guess Overgrown Tomb makes some sense here. I don't think it matters that much. But hopefully they just have Permission Rotting in hand, right? Because Toski can't be countered. They have Cryptic Command. Okay. That's really good, obviously. When I said I hope they have Permission Rotting in hand, I didn't mean like that, right? I thought about just cracking the Spellbomb main phase. It would have been a good time to clear out the graveyard. Now we kind of have to play chicken with their Snapcaster Mage. It might not be ideal, but we have so much free mana that it shouldn't be that bad. Jace going for the Brainstorm, not bouncing the Toski. That's bad news for us. Okay, they're just going to main phase a Snapcaster Mage. Well, we can beat it. I wonder what else they have, because their top decks have been just about perfect. Our top deck in another Verdant Catacombs. Let's go. Very exciting. Okay. Did opponent just punt, or do they have another Cryptic Command in hand, or something? We'll find out. Okay, let's begin with Sword of Fire and Ice, because that's what they know about. Because it has a really high upside if they did just punt. Oh, wow, another Cryptic Command. Jeez, imagine that. Counter spell and tap down Toski, huh? Okay. Yeah, if only we could draw action instead of a million lands at these crucial times. I think opponents given us a couple more windows than we maybe have a right to, given their top decks. So it's hard for me to say exactly, but that's my thinking. They rip Opt off the top. Another perfectly good top deck. They're going to bottom with that. Jace brainstorming again. So I think the only real thing I could have done differently is maybe not lead on the Lily in that spot. Are we big Teferi? Just go for it. Just go for it. All right, OP's going to tuck Toski third from top. Are we supposed to try to find something else? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then another 5 to equip. So we can attack this turn. Basically, I'm going to shuffle when I fetch. I'm wondering if we should shuffle before or after. I think after. I think I'm just going to shuffle after. I don't need like a Toski 3 turns from now, right? Maybe OP will attack with a Snapcaster Mage. No, such luck. Okay, got it. Okay, got it. Nurturing Peatland. Hey, it's a land, but it does a thing. We accept. Godless Shrine, you've got to be kidding me. You gotta be kidding me, deck. Give us anything at all to work with, any kind of love. Alright, we have to force this trade. And I will say that opponent tapping down makes sense. I don't know if they knew they had the Teferi coming now, but they're rewarded for it, because otherwise they would have had to chump with Snapcaster against Toski to prevent the draw last turn. And, yeah, that would have been bad. This is just insane, though. I mean, obviously, our flood against their perfection is only likely to end one way, but we'll stick it out because it's game 2. And, because we gotta try to get a win here. They're gonna bounce the Germ token with Jace. That means they just have all the gas in hand they need already. We draw another land. What a time to be alive. Our matchup against Control should actually be pretty decent, but if this gets countered, I'm just going to concede. Snapcaster Mage Cryptic Command, yeah. Wow, Control really can't do anything without Uro, huh? Wow, just such an underpowered deck. Now, I know that we are... variance just killed us there. But, you know, look how powerful their curve out was. Even if our variance was better, we would have been hard-pressed, I think, to keep up. So anyway, you know, we got kind of a free win against Gruul, but then we get kind of a free loss here. A lot of my matches lately have been very lopsided. I apologize for that. I prefer to bring you more closely run content than this, but it is out of my control way too much of the time. So there you go. Getting crushed by Jeskai. Alright, we open on a 1-lander, we have to mulligan again. Again, 24-land deck, we're either flooded or screwed, right? And now we go to a 2-land 6. Our opponents are mulling with us, though, in these game 1s, at least. We will keep this, we will bottom a Souls, I think, just to make our hand more balanced. And it is a relatively balanced hand, but as always, we need that 3rd land. And then we also... you know, have to hope that, you know, Trophy and Lily are relevant interaction, basically. But the OP's going pretty deep on them all. So if it is any kind of an opposing fair deck, we have every chance of being in the driver's seat with this opener, even if we stumble a bit. Obviously, there's a limit to how much we can stumble, as we saw, as the last round taught us. Yeah. Utopia Sprawl. Alright. For white, so we're against Heliod. Oh, lovely. Here's a 4-drop for us. So I think just to have a hope of slowing them down, we have to trophy that land. Might as well do so on their draw step. But yeah, if we could get any kind of balance with lands to spells, that's all I ask for. You know, I don't need the perfect spells at the right times. I don't need the opponents to mulligan to Oblivion every game. Just want to be able to like function. And it's not even for me. It's because like I always feel guilt if if the donation league for a specific donor is not reasonable. Right? Due to variance. So let's hope that we just kind of slow them down here enough for us to maybe draw the 3rd land next turn, get Lily online, or maybe they have as much bad luck as we do. I guess if we were trying to land screw them, technically we should have done it before the draw, but maybe we're color screwing them at least. They have another Utopia Sprawl, so scratch that. We have at least slowed them down, though. Alright, need a 3rd land for Lily right now. We got it. Beautiful. Beautiful. We have a chance. Pitching souls here, of course, giving us the most tactical flexibility, which is a phrase I'm starting to overuse. But, if we didn't mulligan, like if we had like a stray land in hand and could draw another, or if we had another expendable card in hand, we might be able to kind of do everything. Like with a fourth land, we could play Souls and Goyf, and then while still taking up with Lily, and then the following turn we could maybe play Toski. But if they present any creature, we're just going to Edict it anyway, so no big deal. So yeah, Edict you. They get the life gain value, which, I mean, this card is nuts in this shell. They just, like, top deck it or Heliod, and it's just game against us. And then also, it's just, like, incidental main deck life gain. The Heliod deck has so much incidental main deck life gain and hate for aggressive red decks between Spike Feeder and Auric Champion, which is what they pitched to Lily, I guess, by the way. Deck is nuts. I very rarely beat Heliod. Alright, so they've got double white for Skyclave, I assume, sure enough. So probably Lily has to go. Yep. Well, we're going to get to do the Toski thing. Let's just hope we don't get comboed off on, basically, because Toski's going to win us this value game nicely. And I'm going to play it rather than trophy the Apparition. Alright, we get a cool Toski moment here. Haven't really been able to get this card going thus far in our games. But here we go. Go on the aggro plan and draw 3. Pretty hype. We draw Goyf Swamp. Well, we don't really need more creatures. We need more interaction. But if we just save Trophy for a combo piece, we should be fine. Obviously, it can't hit Heliod. That's a big problem. That's part of why their deck is so good. But it can hit other things, so we want to fade Collected Company. We don't care much about another Apparition. Oh, yes, we do. Well, it's going to hit Toski. We've already gotten the value, though, right? And if we kill that Apparition, we get a 4/4. We get a 4/4. Inquisition. I think it'll hit. Maybe not. Yeah, Conclave Mentor. Okay, that's a hit. So we're just going to play one Goyf, be cautious, hold up Trophy. Well, or are we? What can they top deck? They can't top deck... Well, they could top deck Collected Company. Yeah, okay. Yeah, we're going to just hold up the Trophy. Seems kind of hard to lose if we do that, right? We're forcing more desperate jump blocks, maybe, if we had played a Goyf, and we would have been rewarded because they just draw a land. But you never know. Gavany Township being activated. Kinda cool. Fatal Push. Alright, so that doesn't kill the Apparitions without Revolt. So I guess we'll just play a Goyf and hold up both Trophy and Push, right? Okay. Some luck game 1 against Heliod. We'll need it to get through the match. That much I can tell you. Gaddock Teeg shuts off Collected Company for that reason alone. It's probably supposed to come in. You could see playing an Ashiok or 2, it's going to shut off some fetches. It's going to shut off the Ranger of Aos Tutoring, and also, if they go Infinite Life, it gives us a reason to keep playing with a Mill Wincon. But Blight Beetle, Deicide definitely coming in. And then there's some room to play these black interactive cards as well, so in theory we could have a lot to do here. In practice, it's going to be difficult to say exactly what the worst part of our main deck is, because even though we think we have a bad matchup, I think a lot of our stuff is actually pretty good. This might be wrong, but I think I'm going to trim a little bit on the value package of Souls and Toski, basically cutting the presence of both in half. That's our first move to get in our hate pieces. And then from there, think about one brutality is correct. Maybe we don't really need Plague Engineer. It's probably playable in some shells. I don't know if it's better than much that we're doing here. Yeah, I don't really see many other cuts, so I might even play without Ashiok on the draw. We could see more. Plague Man beats Auric Champion. Plague Man also can just get value against, killing Arbor Elves and stuff. All this is just a little slow on the draw. So I think I'm going to leave all my discard in on the draw. Maybe we can trim one on the play. I don't know how good Path to Exile even is. Alright, I think I'm cutting the other Toski, unfortunately. It was great there, though. I do like lowering the curve. And I like having all the discard to protect our hate pieces, like Blight Beetle and Teeg. So I think we can run it like this. I'm just deciding whether, like, a Plague Man or a second Brutality makes sense over, like, potentially a Liliana of the Veil. But we're already down to 3. Let's run it like this. Lily can beat Champion 2 sometimes, just like Plague Man can. The Plague Man can, the Plague Man can. Alrighty. We have relative functionality with lands. We have Inquisition into Teeg, into Lily if we draw second black, or Souls. It's a medium-ish keep, but it is a keep. Make no mistake. Taking a lot of pain, too. So despite already having 3 lands, definitely wouldn't mind seeing an early black land. Of any description, really. OP with that turn 1 Utopia Sprawl. On a Temple Garden, though. This is where we're a little punished for being Abzan, maybe, instead of a deck like Rock that could have Field of Ruin, but again, that's probably a little slow to be a major game-deciding factor. We draw a Goyf. Yeah, that gives us something a little more proactive than Teeg to do next turn if we want, but that's not exactly what we needed to see most likely. They have Path to Exile, Spike Feeder, Skyclave Apparition. I feel pretty well positioned to compete in the value game with this hand, so I'm going to take the combo piece. It's a pretty good hand from OP, but not the scariest, right? And we are probably supposed to play Teeg just because it's going to make them unable to Coco until they answer it, right? We have Skyclave Apparition of our own. I don't think we need double green, so we might as well stay a little more painless for now. Play out a good old Gaddock Teeg. And if OP wants to path here to not time walk themselves and to unlock Collected Companies, hopefully they don't have one rolled up, right? But if they do, then we get our second black just fine, and we can take it from there. Alternatively, they might untap and go for a Skyclave Apparition. They're cracking Horizon Canopy. Wow. And then they didn't leave themselves white floated to decide whether or not to path Teeg, so that's not really high on their list of things to do, but they are probably just going to Apparition him right now. No? Gaddock Teeg. Gaddock Teeg. Okay, I don't know how excited I really should even be about this, but maybe it just means that he's not good and they don't care. But we're getting to connect with Gaddock Teeg, probably. kind of cool. Moral victory, right? Okay. Well, I'm just going to play another Goyf, and if they want to path this, that's totally fine with me. Or play a Goyf. I think I said another Goyf. Okay. No end-step path. Yeah, fair enough. If they apparition one of these guys and then hold up path, that's a play pattern that makes a lot of sense. I'm just probably going to Lily Edict, assuming we draw the black land. If we don't draw the black land, it becomes more interesting, right? Because we might have to apparition their apparition. We've drawn trophy. Apparitioning their apparition is pretty bad. Because we don't even get the illusion off of it. Man, if only we just could Lily Edict, it'd be great. There is every chance that we should also just simply be saving Apparition for Heliod, right? So then the question becomes, do we trophy to make our clock better at the expense of giving them a land and being less efficient, or do we play Lingering Souls? Neither is very good. We could also just play another Goyf. I don't think I'm supposed to apparition their apparition, although in some ways that's the most efficient play and makes the most sense, and overall I don't think it does. I think I'm just going to play a Tarmogoyf and say go. Give them as many reasons to path us as possible, basically. We're also bluffing Fatal Push this way for what that is worth. I'm not going to attack with Teeg. Like, again, aggressive lines are to either trophy that apparition or to attack with Teeg and offer the trade. Either way, we're keeping their board clear. Yeah, they've pathed us. Okay. I'm going to call that a win, because we desperately needed the fourth land and the second black land. So there's 3 unknowns in OP's hand. That's scary. But we haven't ramped them. We've got Coco shut off by Gaddock Teeg. They'll play an Auric Champion. That can get Skyclaved. Don't know if we're supposed to, but it can. Are they going to follow up with Heliod? Ranger Captain of Eos. Okay, the opponent's doing a lot now. You hate to see it. Ballistic Entangle with Teeg even is just a value play. So I don't really know what we want to draw now. I'm assuming they're going to get Ballista. Yep. If only Teeg shut off creature spells with X, right? He'd be great here. We draw Batterskull, which is about as bad as you could imagine. About as bad as it gets, huh? Ah, that's a tilt. Literal anything like a 5th land, something that helps us double spell, anything at all, besides Batterskull. So, I think maybe we can just apparition their Auric Champion. I can't be that inefficient again. They don't have a Heliod in sight quite yet, unless they're being really careful with it. I'm going to apparition the champion and say go, and hopefully have a better turn next turn. But we've stumbled too much for me to feel like I'm in the driver's seat at all anymore. And the nightmare is if they have an untapped third land to make the Ballista 3/3 in order to play it, then trade with something and still have it around, which of course they will. They've got Gavany Township as well, so we're in big trouble now. And it's all because we had color issues early. Yeah, sucks. Because the whole texture of the game is different if we can simply Liliana on curve. And OP's going to go on the front foot here. So I think I might trade with their Apparition. It's kind of like, why not? That makes sense to me. They're going to ping it beforehand. Alright, so we just save some life, basically. And now we can actually trophy their Ballista, which isn't necessarily a winning line, but... Okay, and we draw an untapped land, so if we... I do think we should trophy the Ballista now for sure. Their Gavany Township's going to put in so much work against us, but if we can kind of stay alive for a little while, maybe Batterskull can flip the script. Yeah, we'll do it that way. I was thinking about Lily +1 to get the last card out of their hand, but it might just be a land or something. Yeah, we're just going to get some souls down. This has been tricky, as it often is, against this deck, right? I really don't know if that was optimal from OP, but we'll see how it plays out. Again, Gavany Township is the reason I'm still feeling really under pressure now. But we'll just try, and, you know, because they can pressure us as far as life gain goes, and then they can also always just top deck the combo. But if we can fade the latter, Batterskull can turn the former around, and then maybe we can get there. Okay, so OP probably does have lands in hand, it seems. So if we do nothing, they activate Township. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We'll be at 2. Then we'll be at 1 with Nurturing Peatland. That's pretty bad. So why don't we just hope they don't have Collected Company in hand? We gotta start getting kills here. I'm gonna mob block Skyclave Apparition, which is gonna give us... something to do out of the trade, aka we'll get a 2/2 blue illusion, which is a decent jump blocker. Are they going to prioritize souls over Teeg? Just because they're flying, basically, and they're a little worried about equipment, maybe? We do get a bigger body that sticks around that way, but it shows they don't care that much about Teeg, which makes me think I'm rewarded for this block. At the same time, I'm just kind of questioning exactly how good Teeg is here, but he's too cool not to play. Alright, so now we gotta stick the Batterskull. Uh-oh, what else do they have? Arbor Elf. Okay, it matters. It matters now thanks to Township. So... oh no, Gaddock Teeg and Batterskull are a non-bow. I did not think about that. I did not think about that one. Bruh. Moment, Gaddock Teeg. Opponent must realize that, and we don't. We just got outplayed by our own deck. Well done, OP. You got us. Oh man, that's a disaster. Well, now I'm definitely going to chump block with Teeg this turn. My bad. My bad. I should have realized that. Anyway, Lily Edict, flashback some souls. Play an Overgrown Tomb tapped. Prepare to chump. Prepare to chump. Yeah, that was bad. So they're going to attack with a 5/5 and a 4/4 next turn. I'm basically just going to go in chump block mode. I don't think a mob block is on the cards here, so we might as well chip in with our illusion. Block with Teeg and a Spirit. I don't know if our sequencing could have been all that different. I guess we would have just chumped with Teeg rather than go for a mob block, though, if I realized that. So, in that sense, a missed opportunity for sure. Opponent ignoring us. Or ignoring the Lily, rather, attacking us makes a lot of sense. Gavany Township OP. They are just flooding, though. So we have a chance. We draw Stoneforge Mystic. Kind of a really bad time for that, actually. So we really just kind of have to get the Batterskull down as far as I see. And also, we want to reset the Lily. So I guess we're going to pick Stoneforge Mystic. We could get really cute and try to play her and jump block, but like... Yeah. Yeah, we got a picture. Feels bad. Alright, so if the OP bricks yet again, we go back in the driver's seat. Keeping everything back to make blocking good. Alright, moment of truth. They're paying costs. Aureate Champion. Okay. If they do attack, we get a pretty good double block with Germ plus Illusion on their Illusion. If they don't attack, we can just equip Batterskull to the Spirit token. And attack with Evasive Lifelink. So they're going to attack. So we're going to gain 4, go to 8. I think we're supposed to take the hit from Ranger Captain, go to 6. Assign this double block. Or take 6 and go to 2. Yeah, I think this is where we're at. Some very interesting and intense gameplay, you have to say. Collective Brutality. Oof. So close to being good. Right? Maybe it will be. At some point. I guess we might as well equip the illusion just for more lifelink. I was thinking if we had to attack through blockers, but because they attacked, let's do it this way. So we're going to gain 8 life. Or we're going to gain 6 life, go to 8. They're going to do 7 to us. But we can present a double block on the crackback. So I think staying back makes sense, but I also don't think it matters. 1 point of damage from our end shouldn't matter. OP with an Arbor Elf. And staying back. So we re-equip Batterskull, and that's the game. Doing exactly 5 in the sky. Good game, well played. Very, very intense, and we get the win over Heliod Company. Let's go. Alright, it's yet another 2-lander. You know, I'm not sure we're supposed to keep this. We're keeping this on the strength of Abrupt Decay, and to a lesser extent on Lingering Souls, but you don't love to see the path in the opener, right? And if we don't draw the 3rd land, we're in trouble. Having Batterskull in hand is probably bad. So this is a very borderline keep, if we do keep it. I've kept some sketchy ones today. I think I'm going to throw it back, but we've also mulliganed a lot. This is definitely a better, more balanced 6. I don't know if it's strictly better. You know, we could be in a matchup where Lingering Souls can win the game, and if we'd drawn the 3rd land, that one would have been a win, right? Anyway, this is still probably a more well-rounded keep. So let's put one of these fetch lands back, I guess. And we'll go Tomb into Thoughtseize. Okay, we are against the Boom Bust BS deck. Okay, so they don't have synergy right now with Cleansing Wildfire or anything like that. It's still possible that we should be taking one of them. Yeah, I think I'm just going to take one of the Boom Busts basically in case. They draw the synergy with it. I also just don't want them to play a land destruction game and us to automatically lose that way. On the other hand, Skyclave Apparition's not that good at the moment. They're not going to present many, if any, targets for it. And now Tarmogoyf, of course, going to survive Lightning Bolt, because we've got a land in the yard. Liliana's a good one, though. Liliana's nice. I'll be very happy if I can resolve her next turn. So what we've done here is basically taken away the multiple land destruction spells from OP. Oh no, they draw Flagstones. I hate this deck so much. I just kind of played a similar one, right, in the form of Smallpox. Oh, but they go for Wildfire to ramp rather than Boom Bust to set us back, which is really good for us because we just want to stick this Lily. Fatal Push and Skyclave Apparition, both about equally bad, I guess, in the face of that Doomscar. But for now, we'll pitch push. We can grow the Goyf by a point right now by pitching Apparition. But maybe we get Doomscar out of hand. It's really hard to say. I'm just gonna... Well, no, we can grow the Goyf now by pushing. I thought about the Lightning Bolt earlier, so I was kind of for a second assuming the Lightning Bolt was in the bin, but it's actually not. So, sure, we'll pitch the push, we'll grow the Goyf. And this is just a real cheesy deck, right? So I don't exactly know what our odds are on the whole. They do have 6 cards and no shortage of lands, so we could be in a lot of trouble. I guess it makes sense to keep Skyclave Apparition in case they have like a 4-mana Planeswalker or something, like a Nahiri or a Chandra to deal with our Goyf. So I'm glad we pitched the Fatal Push there. And we'll see what OP does. They're going to pillage us. Okay. Okay, you hate to see it. Alright, I think we need this 3rd land more than we need a 2/2. They look like they're about to wrath us next turn anyway. So let's just make our 3rd land drop. We can't cast Apparition off of it, though. But arguably better not to, just to get another point of damage out of this Goyf. On the other hand, I might still cast it if I could, just to force the wrath, as opposed to, again, them finding a Planeswalker or something, right? Which would probably be the end of us. Okay, there's the Planeswalker. Hate to see it. Hate to see it. Tarmogoyf. I love to see it. Opponent didn't play that Inspiring Vantage. Or I guess it was pitched, sorry. Yeah, so we know both cards in their hand. So they're going to keep the Doomscar, they're going to try to draw land, they'll get 2 looks at it with Nahiri. They loot away a Monotithe, and there's the land, and there's the Doomscar. Okay, so it's our Planeswalker versus theirs, but with both players hellbent and empty boarded, of course. Nahiri's better, but we get the first draw. Let's get something good. It's a swamp. They just have a lot of bad cards anyway, in the form of, like... Yeah, they just have a lot of bad cards they can draw. Really hate playing against this deck, though. It's pretty miserable. They're just taking Nahiri straight up to ult, not even trying to loot for much else, and they're rewarded because we just cannot top deck. Our deck top decks pretty well, on average, but we've had a lot of bad top decking experiences so far. And, you know, to be fair, OP definitely rewarded for not cracking in the face of Lily and potential discard off the top, so they're playing optimally. But they also have the luxury to be able to do so with how the texture of the game has been. So unless we find a way to basically answer Nahiri right now, I think, we're going to get Emrakul. They're going to Stone Rain us off of white. And we're going to draw Lingering Souls immediately. So that is about as bad as it gets. We can still tick up, we can still get a card out of their hand, and we can still flash it back. But now Nahiri will just win the game, right? Let's make sure they have it, that's all. But I'm afraid we got by a really good progression from the opponent. Okay, Annihilator 6, you win this round. So against Boom Bust BS, I think Gaddock Teeg, I should look this up. I'm probably going to play him anyway, because he's going to shut off a lot of their deck. But I think he might actually shut off Boom and Bust too. I know for at least some things it counts as, you know, the greater CMC or maybe the combined CMC, I don't recall. Anyway, Ashiok shuts off the Nahiri search. That's probably not worth doing. I think we just want Gaddock Teeg and Brutalities, basically. We could play their own game against them with Fulminator. That'd be funny, but probably not optimal. Right now, I haven't seen any reason to play Plague Engineer, Nihil Spellbomb, or Deicide. So I think we're going to be in for some conservative siding. But if we kind of have to cut pushes and paths, there might be some scope to play something else. What would be optimal in this role of better than dead removal spells? Actually, I'm going to take a quick look for a list, see how much we need Abrupt Decay as well. Alright, so I'm submitting like this with an Ashiok. We could maybe even trim a Decay for a second Ashiok, because we're looking at, shutting off the Flagstone search as well, maybe fetch lands if they play those. I'm not even clear that they do. I don't remember, frankly, from what we just saw. What do we think about this very mediocre keep? It's got a lot of lands. It's got some interaction. It's got the Ashiok. I guess I'm going to keep it. I think mulling is strangely pretty bad in this situation, and again, the high land count is actually, it's like actively good. And I really like the Collective Brutality being able to take a Boom Bust early or a Stone Rain or Pillage, right? Obviously, we really need a threat, but cross that bridge when we come to it, I guess. But Abrupt Decay will hit little Chandra, Acolyte of Flame. If she's in here, which I think she probably is. So we can take Boom Bust or Pillage. It's got to be Boom Bust because they have Flagstones. In Pillage, they're also spending a spell on our land, which isn't necessarily ideal for them. What did they just draw another? Oh, Cleansing Wildfire. Jeez. Jeez, I hate this deck. It's so slow, right? So slow, and the axis on which it attacks is so not relevant against a lot of decks, but it sure does beat the pants off of us some of the time, right? Alright, I think I'm supposed to play the Ashiok now to prevent any further searching. I'm also going to self-mill looking for some value off of Lingering Souls, which we do not get. We mill over Lily and Goyf in a couple lands, which is a pretty good 4 overall. They pillage our tomb, yep. So now we've cleared the way for Stoneforge Mystic, Batterskull, all the rest. SFM herself will still get bolted, but for the equipment, that is. I think I'm going to self-mill again. We just, like... maybe that was bad. Now they have the option to bolt Ashiok. Maybe that could turn into a 200 IQ play, though. They're still going to bolt Stoneforge. Because if we didn't get Batterskull, maybe they say, well, maybe we can let the Stoneforge live, right? So without meaning to, I presented a potential 200 IQ play. Didn't end up really mattering. I don't think we know about that Flagstones. I believe there are 3 unknowns in the opponent's hand, plus a Doomscar. They're just going to keep drawing land destruction. And then they're going to foretell Doomscar. Yes. Inquisition. Well, even if we hit a Souls this turn, we cannot... We cannot flash it back because we're on single black now. We're also not holding up Abrupt Decay. Despite those two bad reasons to Inquisition, I still think we should, because this is one of the only times it could hit. I'm going to be pretty tilted if it whiffs, and they have two big spells in hand, which of course they do, 3 Wraths, okay? Again, like, this deck does not seem especially viable to me, but it wrecks us. Yeah, I'm going to continue self-milling. We got to hit Lingering Soul sometime, and we have. So now, we got a little value. Got a little value off the Ashiok in a couple different ways. So now the opponent's playing totally off the top in search of something proactive to do. They're going to suspend another Doomscar. We're going to draw a Thoughtseize. I'll play my back half of Souls first, I guess. I kind of want to stop self-milling because we're losing a lot of fetchables to it. Nahiri. Okay. Let's draw an untapped land so we can get Sword of Fire and Ice connecting. We draw Liliana. We draw an unusable. No, we couldn't anyway, right? I mean, we just don't have a good play here. We can resolve Fire and Ice, and then they're going to Wrath the board. Nahiri's at 8. And there's no way we can beat the Ravs, because 2 of them are Foretold. Abrupt Decay doesn't hit Nahiri. It literally all couldn't get much worse. So I'm just going to cast a Sword of Fire and Ice, although I don't exactly know what it does for us. And we're going to attack Nahiri to stave off the ult for one more turn than we otherwise would. It feels like a lot of the incidental decks that are seeing play are just really hostile to mid-range, leaving aside Jund. To non-Jund mid-range, and I've just been feeling that so much lately. Well, there's Gaddock Teeg. So Gaddock Teeg's actually a great draw, because we can Thoughtseize, and then they cannot cast their Doomscars, or perhaps other things, and then maybe Teeg can rescue us from Nahiri. Is Gaddock Teeg the savior? We Thoughtseize Emrakul? Are you kidding me? We give them their target back. Oh, man. All right. All right, all right. Our hopes rest with this one weird trick, with this one weird Kithkin advisor. Opponent will draw a relic. Opponent will crack a relic. Opponent will draw Sunbaked Canyon and crack it. Opponent will loot with Nahiri. Can they find a bolt? They're going to bolt Ashiok? Not Teeg? Do they have another bolt in hand? What's going on? Alright, try to connect. Alright, we're pro-blue and we're pro-red. So... Oh, Nahiri... Exile target tapped artifact. Enchantment or tapped creature. Alright, we just kind of need the highest upside line here. So we need to connect. Then we need to shock here so she doesn't ult. And then we don't draw another land, which we really could have used. Skyclave Apparition can answer Nahiri. It's definitely something. They might not have that many outs to Teeg now. They can't Wrath, they can't kill him with red, they can't target him with red spells. Does this deck play Skyclave Apparition too? Or are they trying to cast something that Teeg has locked out? Okay. Let's see what we draw. It's a land. Intriguing. So we have the fastest clock possible if we Apparition main phase the Nahiri and then attack with Teeg, and we know we can shock them if the Apparition has taken care of Nahiri. Alternatively, we can just attack first with Teeg. Now, I think it's low risk for the Apparition, because even their illusion token, if they can bolt the Apparition, doesn't block Sword of Fire and Ice Teeg. So let's go first Skyclave Apparition on Nahiri. And then let's cheese them out with Gaddock Teeg. I probably should not have played the land first in case we draw like Blooming Marsh off of the proc here. Okay, they do have a bolt. I kind of thought they did. We draw Toski. Got it. I assume we have at least one fetchable left with this Heath. We have 3 shock lands that are not on the field. We have lost 2 swamps, a tomb to the self-mill, so we should have 2 more shock lands to get. We've also lost Triome. So we should have 2 shock lands and 1 basic land that we could get with Heath if I'm not missing something. Indeed we do, so let's get the... Or, sorry, 2, because we have 2 planes in the deck, right? Definitely need the second black. Not exactly sure why OP hangs back there, but fair enough. Do we just jam Toski? Probably. It's probably a good one to have down in case something goes south with Teeg. And if we're going to play it, we better main phase it so we get the draw. Live in the Value Dream. Sword of Fire and Ice and Toski triggered abilities. Hopefully, both going on the stack side by side. Alright, and we find a Verdant Catacombs with which we can get our final shock land. And the OP's dead on field. We'll see what they can muster here. Alright, hey, even if we don't win this match, that was a really feel-good game win because this deck is very tilting to face. And it didn't look very good for us for quite a while, so Gaddock Teeg OP. Gaddock Teeg locking all the wraths in hand. Justice, my friends, has been served. So, another Ashiok is in contention over Abrupt Decay. That's basically the only question. Do we play, or do we like trim one and maybe play a Nihil Spellbomb to make that little Chandra worse? If they even have her, that's not clear. Think I'm just gonna... Or do we play like a Grey Ogre with Upside and Fulminator Mage? These are the corner case decisions, and I don't think any of them are great. But I guess I'm going to play an Ashiok. The self-mill can be pretty powerful. Shuts off some of their things. It grows the Goyf too if we end up like aggressively brutalitying it away or pitching to Lily or something. Okay. I have to keep this hand. I don't like only the 2 lands, but we're on the draw. Hopefully we can draw more. I don't like the equipment already in hand. I don't even necessarily need Stoneforge Mystic either, but we have Thoughtseize into Brutality. And Apparition's medium. But we have Thoughtseize into Brutality. We have to keep that. There's another Apparition. Yikes. So, we got a Thoughtseize here. I'm going off of Peatland in case they have Boom Busts we can't stop. They have Purge, Doomscar, Lightning Bolt, Stone Rain. For now, I'm just going to take the Stone Rain. Our Brutality's definitely hitting next turn. If we cast it. We have another one. Alright. I think I'm supposed to cast one because they could have drawn another land destruction spell between on their draw step last turn. And we can't let a Stone Rain or Pillage resolve. So yeah, let's cast a Brutality. We are playing a little bit scared, but again, we know it's going to hit. Just really wish if these 2 Apparitions were just 2 lands, I'd be feeling alright. They have a Braid. They have a Braid, huh? Kinda have to take that. Just gotta fade LD. Which is a lot to ask, I know. They immediately draw Boom Bust. Yep. Okay, can't win. Play really carefully around it, then they just top deck it. We got a Plains. This time I'm gonna resolve a creature. Go get Batterskull, force them to bolt her. There it is. We draw another Skyclave Apparition. You hate it. You hate to see it. If they hadn't drawn a land destruction spell, at least we could be casting 2/2s, though. Yeah, this matchup feels about as bad as it gets. We can ignore that Purge for now, and probably should. So I'm just going to take the Doomscar unless I see a Pillage. Yep, gotta take the Pillage. This might be a foretelling of Doomscar. It is. Alright. Land. We did it. But it can't cast our Apparitions. Nevertheless, we do have a 3rd land, and we can put something on the field, which is Fire and Ice. And that's a start. I'm not going to say no to any lands for a long time. OP with a Relic? Will they immediately crack it? They will. They found Cascading Cataracts. We have found Ashiok Dream Render. It's the only castable card we have, so rather than cracking Peatland, I am just going to cast it and allow them to trade their Purge for it. Maybe clearing the way for Liliana. But yeah, I mean, gotta draw like Lingering Souls or more lands. Opponent with a Nahiri. So now most of our good draws are a little too late. No, okay. Never mind. So I believe they upped Nahiri but didn't loot. Anyway. We draw white land, so all is well. If we... They've already used one bolt, but they could still easily find 2 more. If we get anything besides a plains, we are down to 6. Maybe lower after the... repeated activations of Nurturing Peatland, sorry, are concerned. So, and the other problem for us is they're going to get a 4/4 elemental here. So we kind of need to draw... I don't know what we need to draw. We kind of need them maybe to... Oh, they have Cleansing Wildfire on us, though. Okay. Go get Forest, I guess. I actually don't mind that, frankly. I realize they're just kind of cantripping and basic checking us, but... Okay. Are we supposed to go for an equip here? I think we are. They probably have like a bolt in response, and that's going to be a blowout. I don't know why they wouldn't Doomscar. This is still sorcery, right? Let's go for it. Yeah, they do have a bolt. They do. Alright, I was frankly kind of hoping the opponent was going to misplay. But if we weren't in the market for that, we should have just cast a Batterskull. We cannot get their token with our apparition, sadly. Well, opponent's still lacking for nothing, right? You know, that aggressive line really of, like, aggressively wildfiring us and cracking their canyon and stuff really enabled by that bolt. So we're on the ropes. Batterskull might be able to save us. Lily of the Veil. Lily's kind of a safer play. We're also playing a little bit scared, like if they didn't have much else and they top deck something really value positive, but that couldn't answer Batterskull, we get punished for this. Know what I mean? I do wonder how we'd be right now if I had just jammed Batterskull instead of going for the equip. They got Purge. Okay, whatever. Lily did her job. Now we go for the skull. And maybe the best outcome is they're priced into Doomscarring it. They have a Cleansing Wildfire for us. Okay, we're out of basics. Now a Boom Bust. Good God. But we're getting to connect with Batterskull, and there's an Assassin's Trophy, but we're also getting to equip Fire and Ice. They do have a Doomscar still, right? Condemn. Condemn? Condemn. Yeah, sure. Condemn. Well, that explains that. Now they're in total top deck mode. Here comes another bomb, I guarantee it. Yep, another land destruction spell. We're just that much further from ever getting there again with our stuff, but at least we... Well, we draw Windswept Heath. I don't think there are any fetchables left, though. Godless Shrine. Sorry, I'm confusing this with the other game. We have plenty of fetchables. Because we haven't self-milled. We're just out of basic lands. So we have plenty of things to fetch. We're definitely playing that. And I think I want to play an Apparition to force them to either draw something good yet again, or to Doomscar it. Otherwise, we're equipping it with a sword. But yeah, for a deck that does a whole lot of non-1-mana interaction things, the opponent sure has found the 1-mana interaction at the perfect time to go with everything else. I'm sorry to complain so much, this deck just really frustrates me. Okay. Skyclave trading with Doomscar, pretty good. At this point, I will get the Triome, I guess. Liliana. I think we go for the Apparition play again. Force them to find yet more removal. Because we don't necessarily need this ETB. It's almost safer in some ways not to have one, right? But we have Liliana and Trophy to come down after the fact. Hopefully they're just flooded. We have a Tarmogoyf. Cool. Alright, do they have another kill spell? Doesn't look like it, my friends. Does not look like it. Sword of Fire and Ice OP. Yeah, I don't think we play Afraid of a Wrath at this point. Let's get a Goyf down. Sorry I'm so far behind on the clock, but we win. There's the scoop. It's all worth it. Oh my god, that deck frustrates the living daylights out of me. We do get there eventually. And that's the problem with their deck. The strategy doesn't line up against necessarily all that much. It's total cheeseball, but not in as powerful of a way as like early Blood Moon cheeseball. And after all that, like, you draw so much air, so many reactive cards, so much land destruction even. They could have ripped a land destruction spell there. They have so many of them in the deck. And if the opponent can just eventually get there on turn 15 like we did here, then Sword of Fire and Ice, look at that. Look at that beautiful printing. All right. We steal one that we were pretty much as far behind as you can get while still managing to win for most of that match, as far as I can tell. Sorry about my complaining and my slow play, but if anyone's ever faced this deck, you probably, unless your deck really lines up well against it and it's a buy, you probably feel the same way. Gotta give the opponent credit for some cool basic lands, though. Definitely gotta respect that. Alright, this hand does nothing until turn 3, and also still cannot cast Skyclave Apparition. Nevertheless, on the play, I'm going to keep it. This is part of what our deck signs up to do, right? We sign up to keep dirtily but value-positive 7s. Lingering Souls and Liliana can get you a long way together, so that's what we hope for. Obviously, if any one of these spells besides maybe Lily was a low-curve interaction, we'd be thrilled. As it is, you know, the Modern is all over the place, so you can keep hands like this. It's just as valid as mulling, if not more so, excuse me, as mulling to, you know, your low-curve interaction that's always going to be good in a blind game one. Alright, OP playing the Temur Triome. So, thus far, our keep looking rewarded. Trophy is probably going to be live at some point here. Right now it's not the most exciting thing I've ever seen, but would have just loved to have drawn a discard spell there, right? Clear the way for Liliana, get on that Lily plan on the play with Lingering Souls as the supporting cast. That would have been perfect. Alright. I was going to say, hopefully OP's not double queuing. Okay. So opponent doing nothing here. I think I'm going to test the waters with a Lingering Souls. I don't really want to run our Lily out into Permission. I'm happy to run the Lingering Souls, trade that with a Monolith or what have you. At this point, I'm more afraid of Remand than anything else, but Remand's just not the most common card anymore in Modern. Okay, 4-color. It's a 4-color control remanding us. Got it. Well, that sucks. Well, that really sucks. And they're a Flagstones deck, too. Why not? And there's Tef. And there's Tef. Drawing a card. Alright, so do we stick Lily now? I would say so. We could also get rid of Tef, but I don't think that's necessary at this exact stage. So let's Lily, pitch a Souls. Play a Godless Shrine, which was a very good draw, right? Really nice to see that 4th land. Might as well be a 2nd white. Okay, OP pitching Stomping Ground. So, Teamer, black and white. I guess I didn't notice right away, but it is 5-color Madness with a Valakut. Yeah, I don't know exactly what we're against, but the beauty and terror of this is that it could be just about anything. So we pitch another Souls. We're just getting lands out of their hand. If this is... would Niv Mizzet play Valakut and Flagstones? I have no idea. I think I'm going to try to play Apparition for Teferi, because we're getting to the point where instant speed sweepers are a beating, and he's almost ready to start drawing again. So I'm going to try to Apparition this Tef and see if it comes off. See if it resolves. If it resolves, we'll take it from there. If it resolves, maybe we should play Lingering Souls over Tarmogoyf in order to be better against spot removal and to not lose as valuable of a threat against sweepers. But it's really, without hand info, it's really hard to say. I think I am going to play a Souls. Let's get some value out of our graveyard before anything happens to that, and let's, again, have as many different bodies on the field as possible, arguably spend a lower value card as well into what might well be a sweeper next turn. If the opponent just goes land Niv Mizzet, then we're going to lose, almost certainly, but again, I don't know if Niv would play these lands. Modern is so wide open now, it is unbelievable. And, yeah, forgive any dead spaces here in this match. The OP might be double queuing or either that or just tanking a couple times and, okay, that'll resolve. And I might have to edit, but I might not also get every single piece out of there. Okay, opponent does have spot removal. Happens to be Lightning Bolt. I'm still pretty cool playing the Souls because I'm certainly willing to chump block on Lily's behalf here, if I'm allowed to. Yeah, looks like Niv Mizzet to me. So we get to Trophy Niv, and maybe Edict Illusion or Tick Up or something. Maybe if we dump the whole hand, we'll Tick Up. Oh, they're going to Bring to Light for Dryad? Okay. Is this just Bring to Light Scapeshift 5-color? Again, sorry, I have no idea what's going on. I have no idea what you're up to, opponent. But Valakut's online, and Flagstones and Valakut is insane. Flagstones is insane with everything. It's insane with Valakut. It's insane with Smallpox. And indeed, it is insane with this. Or with the deck we played last time. Sorry, I was already talking about this. Against the Boom Bust stuff. It's almost a surprise that it took this long for Flagstones to really take off, right? Alright, we have to trophy a Dryad. Just have to. We know the downsides of that. Shoot. But we only have one green source, so let's actually crack Silent Clearing. Maybe we'll get lucky and draw Fatal Push, then we can push the Dryad, which is better to begin with, and also play a Goyf. Or we could draw a green land, or even if we draw a green land. Cool. Alright, so now we hope the OP is out of Big Bombs, brings to light, and whatever else they play in their deck that's the top end. Because if they do, just flood a little bit, stumble a little bit, we've got a couple 6-7 Goyfs breathing down their neck that's going to go such a long way. Their illusion's been good. Our Skyclave Apparition was not amazing, but I don't regret playing it, because Teferi would have been a huge issue too, and they're just going to hardcast a Valky, Godless. Alright, well... Again, does this deck do anything besides beat mid-range? It's really hard to say. but go off. So yeah, Modern treating us a certain type of way today. That's alright. We're still getting there. It's just really... Like, if I wanted to play this type of gameplay, I'd play Pioneer, you know what I mean? And Tibalt is extremely OP against us. So we're like, well, maybe their top end is not going to be quite as bad. And they have about the scariest top end card you can imagine. Into another bomb. Into Scapeshift. Okay, it is 5-color, bring to light Scapeshift with Remand. Which I have seen before, to be fair, in Bring to Light Scapeshift decks, but Remand, Lightning Bolt, Flagstones of Trokair, Mess of a Mana Base, Teferi Time Raveler, and of course, Valky God of Lies / Tibalt Cosmic Imposter. So, I guess it's probably GG, but with their land base, it's not a normal Scapeshift deck. With their land base, I'm going to make them execute the Scapeshift kill, or at least see what happens off of it. Alright, we see a bunch more dual lands, and that is the kill. That was miserable. So, Ashiok and Fulminator, please get in here. Gaddock Teeg, please get in here. Teeg, you saved us once, you can do it again. Collective Brutality seems good too. And I don't see anything else that we necessarily need, although... They might be a Renin 6 deck. We could use Nihil Spellbombs for that. It's really tough to say. Once again, we're cutting all our spot removal. Haven't really had as much use for that as I would like. Decay should probably stay in. That is an out to Ren as well as to Tef. But if we end up needing to make cuts, we probably could look there to trim 1. I think Trophy hitting their lands could be relevant. So I'm going to trim around the edges, lose a Souls, probably lose 1 Decay or 1 Trophy. We'll make it 1 Decay. And unfortunately, I'm going to cut a Toski. From there, probably a Skyclave Apparition too. This edge trimming makes a lot of sense to me. And if we look at what we're bringing in, we do have a lot to do in this matchup, right? So... just leave enough cards to get us over the line and enough varied interaction to help while we hopefully crush them on the back of some oppressive depletion. Alright, it is a 2-land. Oh no, it's a 3-lander. I didn't see the Triome at first. Snapkeep. We got triple Inquisition. And we don't have that much of a threat. We just have a 2-2 that may or may not be able to remove anything, but you definitely can't pass up triple discard. Our deck will provide the threats or the hate, like Ashiok and Fulminator, we hope. But yeah, you know, this hand clearing the way for a Tarmogoyf off the top, or a Liliana off the top, has every chance of getting there. We just need to top deck something that's different from what we already have, basically, and we're going to be in a pretty good spot. You know this 5-color deck's packing Veil of Summers, too, so it's going to be good to check their hand T1 before that's a thing. T1 on the play, we mean. Okay, OP has returned to grace us with their 5-color presence and has kept a full grip. Elvish Reclaimer and Remand, and 5 lands. Well, down goes Reclaimer. Next turn, down goes Remand. And then we'll take it from there, I guess. OP with a Triome. Us with Ashiok. Let's go. That's a really exciting find, actually. Really exciting find. OP with Cleansing Wildfire. Ashiok will shut that search off, as well as the searches of these fetch lands. So, still taking the Remand. Make sure Ashiok resolves, obviously. If we had an untapped black land, we would take both. But we got to get the Triome down. Make sure we can get Ashiok next turn. That should be very, very powerful. And opponent will play a non-fetch land. So they're going to Wildfire us. I get it. I definitely get it. But that means just one more fetch land is locked in hand. So that's awesome. The worst outcome for us short term would have been they fetch and then play a Wildfire, right? We have a Windswept Heath. They could play Ashiok too. I might as well go fetch with that and also get a second white. So green and white. We're still casting Ashiok. Very exciting. And I think I'm supposed to self-mill to try to find a Lingering Souls back half to start clocking. We don't. But we also mill over some relative undesirables. The only big exception is Tarmogoyf. Alright, so they've played the Foundry, the Wildfire. Did they have 2 Foundries when we looked at their hand? No. Why did I see 2 there? I don't know. I think we have 2 unknowns in OP's hand. They have a Stomping Ground, 2 dead fetches, and 2 unknowns. Well, we draw a Goyf, so as it happens, we're about to just Inquisition and find out, I guess. Yeah, let's do that. Remand. Okay. Try again. Whiff. But it's all lands. Now I'm going to leave Ashiok at 4 because I don't want that card to die to a Lightning Bolt. And then all of their fetch lands and search effects are unlocked. OP will cycle a Triome and play a land we did not know about. Thoughtseize. I think I'm supposed to use it now. But yeah, it whiffs. Okay, fine. So Skyclave Apparition turns the clock from 4 turns to 3. Sure, I mean, I think we're kind of supposed to do this. Opponent says, best way to beat a discard spell. Yes, that's one of many very frustrating things about playing these decks, is you absolutely need your discard, but oftentimes it's either not enough or it just whiffs. Opponent continues cycling Triomes, then showing us lands that we didn't know about. We draw a Collective Brutality. So we're hitting for 6. Brutality makes it a 2-turn clock, so we're just going to drain them for 2. And put them dead on board. Some pretty bad top decks for us. All these discard effects are like a mini Lightning Helix in the form of Brutality, right? Opponent has Veil of Summer now. After all that, they have Veil of Summer. Opponent's second best way. Yeah, thanks, OP. Really, really high skill play, you have to say. Can you beat Ashiok, though? Dryad of the Elysian Grove into Valakut. Alright. This deck is basically just a complete repudiation of Fire Design and why it shouldn't exist. So Ashiok goes down. I'm resisting the urge to say something in chat. I'm just going to concede this was absolutely a miserable matchup and miserable gameplay, but nothing much we can do to control that, so congratulations, OP, on the 5-color stew. Definitely beats the crap out of Abzan. Some very, very lopsided games here. We do squeak over the line, but this was one of the more feel-bad Modern leagues I think I've had in a long time. Nevertheless, we're doing okay, but not the type of Modern that I personally like to sign up for, or that I like to bring you, the viewer. So, yeah, good job, OP. 200 IQ play. Got us. All right, my friends. Well, that was our Abzan League, our Abzan Squirrelblade League, and it was a mixed bag. We'll begin with the good. The good is that we came through a true gauntlet. I would say that the Jeskai Control deck that we played is probably about a 50-50 for us. I think we have a lot of tools against them. They have a lot of tools against us. It's probably a good old 50-50, right in that range. We did happen to drop that one. So I think every other matchup that we played is either moderately or significantly unfavored. I think Gruul midrange is a nightmare matchup. We got lucky to win it. I think Heliod midrange is a quite bad matchup for most any midrange deck. Or Heliod Combo, rather, is a bad matchup for most any midrange deck. Admittedly, Abzan a little bit better at bringing hate to bear, perhaps, there than other mid-range decks are, and we were fortunate enough to win that matchup without needing to draw Deicide or Blight Beetle, our hard hate pieces. The only hate piece we drew was Gaddock Teeg, and they never found a Coco, which was part of why we won, but also made Gaddock Teeg's hate a little bit irrelevant, except for hating out our own Batterskull, you know? Who can blame me? I'm used to new Fire Design cards where things are asymmetrical. A cool old-fashioned card like Teeg, it's going to make things symmetrical sometimes, and we saw that come up here, so I did miss that. But Gaddock Teeg definitely was kind of funny in that matchup. And then, round 4, boom bust. What a terrible, terrible matchup for us. We don't have a fast clock unless we happen to open on Goyf to pressure them and punish them for playing this really dirtily land destruction game. Obviously, our mana-hungry 3-color redless mid-range deck really gets crippled by land destruction. They've got sweepers, they've got planeswalkers, they've got these boom bust synergies with their own land base. It is all a complete nightmare for us. But Gaddock Teeg, Teeg, stealing us that one. We had other things that lined up too, but Gaddock Teeg locking like 3 Wraths in hand while closing out the game. Gaddock Teeg, a man of peace, very hesitant to take up the Sword of Fire and Ice in defense of his homeland. He'll try to reason with them, he'll try peace talks, he'll try even, maybe a bribe, but when all else fails, Gaddock Teeg will go to war, and be warned if you ever piss off Gaddock Teeg, right? We definitely saw that here today. He gets on the thumbnail. That's the coolest thing that happened today. We also had a horrifyingly bad matchup, probably the worst matchup of them all in the 5th and final round. Getting BM'd a little bit by the opponent. We are definitely kind of behind the 8 ball to a significant degree in that matchup, and specifically the way Game 2 went, it's just like tells you everything structurally wrong with trying to play mid-range against a deck that is just throwing crap at the wall and hoping something sticks. It's just generating all the value all of the time, not really necessarily able to compete with the hyperlinear decks at all. Main deck, probably not even much post side, but against us, it's just like everything they do wrecks us, basically. So, sorry if I grumbled a little bit more than usual, but this was a very grumble-worthy league. The gameplay was unenjoyable compared to what Modern can be, and what Modern is if you get a different run of matchups, but feeling very punished lately for playing mid-range in general. And also, sadly, forced to conclude that Jund is head and shoulders the best mid-range deck right now. Just purely playing red does a lot for you. Making you more aggressive seems really relevant right now. Making you less vulnerable to Veil of Summer seems relevant. The opponent veiled us as a coup de grace in the final round, but I've been getting veiled left, right, and center, especially when I played Boomerang by these big mana decks. It's just like, oh my goodness, absolutely enough to make you question all of your life decisions up to this point when you get veiled for the 10th time in a league, what are you supposed to do about that? So Jund less vulnerable to veil, as I say, it goes quicker, and it also just grinds a little bit harder too than most mid-range decks. So I have to conclude that our best BGX deck by far in class right now is Jund. However, if you're an Abzan stan, as Jag is, and thank you so much, Jag, for supporting this content and for giving us a sweet list to play, I actually really like this list. I know we had some bad matchups. I know we had some really bad variants. I know in places our deck kind of looked like a joke. I honestly think that is bad luck, and if you're on Abzan, this is a sweet list. I think the balance is good. I really liked it after we made those couple tweaks I mentioned in the deck tech. Really like the balance. And despite some, as I say, mixed bag results here, I actually don't think I would change anything if I were running it back. Gaddock Teeg earned a spot, and he's the biggest flex slot I see right now in the current meta. And Toski, unfortunately, we just didn't draw this card that often, and or the games weren't close enough for this to matter, right? So much lopsided gameplay, either in our favor or against us, doesn't really matter. We did have a couple cool moments with Toski, and that was well worth it, probably enough to make the thumbnail, especially because it is the new technology relative to the previous iterations of Abzan that I've played. But if you're in mid-range mirrors, or against, if we were able to stay closer to the Jeskai Control deck, or maybe if we're against more traditional aggro decks and the game ends up going longer, Toski is really going to be amazing there. Again, this wasn't the league for this card to shine. When we did see it, it was still pretty good. So I am impressed, Jag, by your list. I'm impressed by Toski. And one thing that's nice about Toski is Lingering Souls, there's a big question mark over this card in a traditional Abzan list, because on the one hand, it is a very mid-rangey card, synergizes with a lot of our other stuff, very value positive, one of the attractions to playing white in the first place. On the other hand, sometimes it just feels too slow. Sometimes it simply just feels too clunky and too slow. So it's like, where do we go with Lingering Souls? Do we go all the way in on it, or do we have it like as a supplementary 1 to 2 of? I have thought all of those things. I've thought it should be a 4 of, a 3 of, a 2 of, maybe even a 1 of in the past when designing Abzan lists. But with Toski as the top end, rather than Gideon or something like that, you definitely get a new dimension of value, and it becomes clear that you should be all in on Lingering Souls to the point where it's a 3 of, more like a 4 of, but minimum 3 of. And that's clarifying, right? When you have that structure, it's very clarifying. I also didn't mind Stoneforge Mystic only as a 3 of with only 2 pieces of equipment. That actually reduced the clunk factor of our deck, I think, to a significant degree. So, Jag, your list is awesome. I wish we had more interesting gameplay for you and more favorable matchups, but we showed that your deck can hang with even some really bad times. So there you go. Thank you, my friends, so much for watching. Yeah. If you have any thoughts on Abzan, on Squirrelblade, on anything else, of course, as always, you can let me know. But Gaddock Teeg, MVP, maybe not literally, but in my heart, he was the MVP. And we'll take it, right? We'll take some wins here, and we will hope to never run into round 4 and 5 decks again. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.